Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Greetings. Today we're going to talk about an interesting subject. We're talking about who is the alpha male, um, the FBA or the African. Who is the alpha? Who run it? Before we get into that, we're going to have to identify what is alpha. What does that mean? Um, After which we're going to examine what is FBA swagger. The two subjects are related. Swagger is related to alpha male status. Um, so we're just going to dive into that. So first and foremost, the question is what is an alpha male? So I'm gonna get a female's perspective. Nikki, what is an alpha male to you? What qualities do you have to be an alpha?
Ooh, qualities of an alpha male, based on my experience, based on what I see. First of all, um, eh, if we were talking about between foundational Black American and African or anyone, it would be the foundational Black American man. I don't know why this keeps clicking in my ear. You hear that? Well, anyway, I can tell you what an alpha male is not. An alpha male does not entertain fear. An alpha male fights for his community. Alpha men don't initiate beefs between women in the background or in the forefront. Alpha men confront the real needs of the community. Alpha men don't just sit back and talk. Alpha men provide. Alpha men are what other men want to be. Alpha men are men like Tariq. Alpha men are men like Jason Black. Alpha men are like many other men we respect in the community. Alpha men are not like many of the men who we think we should respect in the community. Alpha men, they don't need to be questioned about who they are because they just are. They just lead. They just make things happen. They come up with ideas. They are brave. They a lot of times they are the one man that all the women want to be with because they have these qualities. Alpha men are just that. And I'll land my plane right there.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was one of the most beautiful things I ever heard Nikki say. She was clear and succinct. So, I wanted to get a woman's perspective on an alpha male, because sometimes the best way to see how bright something is shining is to look at a reflection, and a woman can reflect what a man, just like the sun and the moon is a good analogy. The moon is feminine, and the sun is masculine, and you can see the brightness of the sun by looking at the moon. So beautifully said and beautifully done, Nikki. In the jumbotron, you shall find. Um, Stand by one moment. Let me put it in there. You shall find a definition of alpha male, um, and the definition of alpha male says a male. Uh, Animal having the highest rank in dominance in a dominance hierarchy. Studies show that despite their high rank access to females, baboon alpha males experience a great deal of stress. So basically, the most dominant, powerful, assertive in a particular group. Um, okay, successful, assertive, and sexually dominant. So one of the keys to alpha maleship, like Nikki just said, is fearlessness. Um, an alpha male identifies his life purpose, and he chases after it with reckless abandon, like just fearlessness, not being afraid is a sign of an alpha male. Standing to fight, standing for what you believe in is alpha male status. To talk about alpha male status, we're going to look at several foundational Black Americans today. And we're going to start with an alpha male that y'all probably wouldn't even think to bring up. We're going to start with our brother, um, Booker T. Washington. Booker T. Washington um, was uh, an activist, educator, scholar. Booker T, sometimes being the alpha male doesn't mean, it can mean that you got your chest stuck out and you acting all testosterone filled. But an alpha male can be alpha through intellectual cunning. The key to alpha is fearlessness. Booker T. Washington. Booker T went to um, Hampton Institute. He was biracial. His mother was a cook, and his father was rumored to be a white man that raped his mother. She was in the kitchen, and what a lot of people don't know is Howard Institute, Howard University, and Hampton were basically created for the mulatto class of children in the DC area. You had a lot of prominent slave owners who would regularly have sexual relations with their help, which is very unfortunate for say um, uh, Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson had Sally Hemings, a child, a 13-year-old child who lived below him. And when he'd kiss his wife goodnight, his white wife, mind you, he would basically slide down a pole to be with his child bride. Um, Children came out of that. Um, yeah, it's fucked up. A lot of the children born to these slave masters would um, be sent off to school at places like Howard and Hampton. Um, well, why am I bringing that up? I'm bringing it up because Booker T went to Hampton. Booker T had it made, ladies and gentlemen. All he had to do to get his 30 pieces of silver is play the game and stay in school, play the game, and he could have easily had a career, a lucrative career in DC, and married a pretty girl and rode off into the sunset. But Booker T had alpha male qualities. Booker T said he saw things at Hampton he didn't like. He saw the elitism that went on with the colorism and elitism that went on with the secret societies there. He wasn't a fraternity. I think he was in Phi Beta Sigma, but uh, Booker T came identified the problem with the black community by looking at Howard's culture and at Hampton's culture of elitism. And Booker T said, "Oh no, 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 no! Elitism is going to drive us into the ground. We need to come up with an idea that puts all foundational black Americans on an equal playing field, and as equals in the community, we need to build the community up." His idea was called industrial education, and in industrial education, all black boys picked up a trade, namely brick masonry, carpentry. Booker T said a man needs to learn how to fix the house and build the house. And his theory for women is every woman needs to make clothes. So every little girl had to learn how to be a seamstress, how to make dresses and make suits. And let me tell you how beautiful his fearless plan was. Booker T fearlessly engaged with ultra wealthy alleged white supremacists. I mean, we're talking the tip of the spear, people who could easily have you killed, like Rockefeller. I could read textual evidence out of Dr. Howard Zinn's book where Rockefeller readily had white people killed. He readily had Italians, and at one point, Rockefeller in one of his mines had a group of Italians working for him, and he treating them like shit. They protested for higher wages, and Rockefeller just started having them killed. He had a security company that had machine guns and just start wasting them. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of power that Booker T was dealing with. But Booker T met with these secret society, ultra powerful whites, and pulled a goddamn hoodwink on them. He told them, and I'm paraphrasing our dear brother Booker T. Washington, but Booker T met with these white billionaires, dangerous billionaires, and he said he had a speech, a real famous speech, where he said, basically, the colored man and woman are stupid. We don't need to be going to go to college and get fancy degrees. We need to do work with our hands because we're not intellectually astute. And Booker T said, "Give me the money, give me the money, and I'm gonna found an institution that teaches every black man how to be a janitor. I'm gonna found an institution that let black women be cooks and maids, and if you give me that money, I'm gonna found this place that puts us in our rightful place." Booker T said it said things that the white power structure wanted to hear. He told them exactly what the fuck they wanted to hear. And when Booker T got that money in his hand, he built the most high tech, astute institution of learning in the goddamn world. It is called Tuskegee Institute. Tuskegee had nothing to do, and there's nothing wrong with being a maid or a janitor, but Tuskegee was hard sciences. So Tuskegee had then what we need now: degrees in engineering, degrees in nursing, degrees in education, psychology, hard science, degrees in physics. God damn it, the military uses Tuskegee's physics department to create ultra high tech weapons in 2025. That was at the hands of Booker T, who was fearless enough to face white supremacists who easily had people killed and pull a goddamn hoodwink on their ass. And ladies and gentlemen, what history doesn't tell you is that that's why he got killed. Okay. Yeah, Alexa was going on. But yeah, Booker T lost his life because of this. Long story short, Tuskegee went on and popping. And oh, let me tell you a beautiful story about it. The remember I told you that Booker T Washington's industrial education dictated that every black boy has a trade, and every black woman has a trade. Well, once he got the land granted for Tuskegee Institute, Booker T had Tuskegee Institute put together by young black boys who were paying their tuition by building the school. Tell me how beautiful that is. So when you go see that beautiful college, university, know that those bricks were put together by black men who were paying their tuition by building the goddamn school. That was Booker T's ideology. Lastly, Booker T let the black women design the suits and the dresses that the professors wore. That's how they paid for college, paid for Tuskegee Institute. So, in conclusion, I wanted to point out a very not unsung alpha male. Booker T lost his life. He ended up getting killed because when Tuskegee was on and popping, the secret society members, the Rockefellers and the Carnegies, figured out that they had been tricked by Booker T, and they poisoned him. Um, I digress. Rob the Whip, what's on your
Wait, so
mind?
he Booker T. Washington didn't he was an alpha uh,
Yeah,
because he didn't just sit around talking. He made things happen. So before his death, he made things happen. He made a name for himself and his people. He wasn't just sitting around gossiping. He wasn't piggybacking off of other men. He was the man who everybody wanted to be. But go ahead, next speaker.
well, yeah, yeah. And if I could add before we go to Rob the Whip, um, what makes we identified that fearlessness is part of alpha. Um, if you look at the uh, legal definition, it says dominance. It says okay, powerful, assertive, um, perceived to be assertive, successful, and dominant. So yeah, Booker T was alpha because he was powerful, and what makes him alpha to me is that he stood in front of these secret societies, the Carnegies and the Rockefellers, at a time when it was very much known that Rockefeller was having people killed, not just black people. He was having Italians and Irish killed for throwing a strike on his mines. So, in the light of Booker T knowing this, he stood up in front of Rockefeller and on some level said, my beautiful people are more important than my life. He knew he was playing with his life, hoodwinking them folks. He knew that when it came out, that he tricked them. Yeah, come on, let's think about it. It was a matter of goddamn time. He told these folks he was making an institution to make janitors and maids and Tuskegee was graduating people from physics. Booker T went and recruited um George Washington Carver. He wanted the best. So it was a he was playing with time. It was only a matter of time before the Rockefellers and Carnegies found out that he tricked them. And what do you think Booker T thought would happen to him when they found it out? In my opinion, he knew he was going to lose his life for it, but we were more important than his life.
Ah, ah, ah. That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Professor. That is beautiful. Who? There's two people on stage. Who was up here first? Um,
Rob the Whip.
okay.
I think Rob the
Yeah,
Whip was up.
Who's up? Was it Empress or Rob DeWitt? Okay, go ahead, and then Empress, you go next. Go ahead, Rob.
I'm gonna be real fast because I'm watching the fight. Tank Dave's about to get in the ring, but I just want to give my little 2 cents. To answer the question, uh, are the FBA men more masculine? What is it? Alpha male over African men? I would say yeah, because we didn't run. We stayed and fought
Hello.
for everything we had in this country. Right now, Africa is one of the largest continents on the planet. They've been colonized by any and everybody, So uh, at the end of the day, they're docile to other cultures for whatever reason. I don't know if it's out of fear, inferiority complex. I don't understand it because physically, uh, physically they're stronger, but I think power projection wise, um, meaning weaponry, they don't have the arsenal to keep up with it, all of them. So definitely we're the alpha. As far as our swag, shit, everybody know we got the best swag on the planet because they copy. We're copied. We're the most copied in the world, man. So and idolized. So I'm gonna land my plane with that. Oh, before I say that, an alpha male is uh, somebody who, even though you're scared, will follow through with whatever cause that you're going for.
Yep.
Ooh wee.
Military military teaches us fear is good, and
It,
fear is a feeling. You feel sick, you feel hungry, you
it'll
feel
keep you
weak,
alive.
you feel strong, but also yeah, fear keep you alive, keep you from doing stupid stuff. It heightens your senses. Being a coward that'll get you killed.
Ooh
Oh yeah.
wee.
A coward have died 1,000 times. So alpha male is somebody who's willing to take those shots, even though he's scared and walk through the fire just to accomplish his goal. So on that, I land my plane. Y'all have a good night. I'm gonna watch this fight, and I'll see y'all, man.
All
Thank
right.
Be
All
easy.
right, brother.
thank you, Rob DeWitt. Thank you so much. I just want to piggyback off of that and let you know I appreciate your statements so much. It actually gave me more insight. So you are helping me to understand that alpha men are the opposite of what a lot of non-FBA men are.
Hello.
Non-FBA men, I've seen them pretend to be black males. Alpha men don't pretend to be who they are not. They just are. They are the real person. They don't have to pretend to be a black American. They don't have to steal someone else's swag. They are the swag that everyone else wants to be. So thank you very much for that, Rob. And I'll go to Miss
You're
Empress.
welcome.
You're welcome. Thank you. I'll go to Miss Empress next.
Good evening, my gorgeous Nikki and handsome Professor Alon. I hope I said your name right. It's a beautiful name. Professor, I'd like to thank you for sharing always on point facts. And I'd also like to compliment the facts and point out many alpha males that have led in different historical events outside of Booker T wonderful Washington. When I think of an alpha male that did not have to emulate anyone, it comes to Detroit Red, aka Malik Shabazz, also known as Malcolm X. Another alpha male comes to mind for me is Cassius Marcellus Clay,
Hello.
aka Muhammad Ali. Um, I think of wonderful men, Alpha, like Louis Farrakhan, Fred Hampton. Um, I think of Huey Newton, um, that comes to mind readily. I also think, and I know you may understand me, um, Medgar Evers, a wonderful attorney, um, that his life was taken. Something about an alpha male, especially when he's foundational Black American. Professor, tell me if you agree with this. If you take them from the 1800s through the 1960s, say from 1800s, cut it right off at about 1971, they never had to beg to get into any place. Most of the time, they were sought after readily. They never asked to be a part of anybody's organization. People would ask and invite them. That's the first point. A true alpha male stands on his own. He doesn't have to rely on the coattail of no woman. And what we have now is beta men that have to hide up under women's coattail. And when they get called out, they become physically, emotional, and verbally abusive and even unaliving when they are exposed. We're in a time under feminine energy, under this two energy, because this is the years that we are in. So many wonderful beta men could have been alpha, but they're unqualified because they're not willing to learn. They have too much of feminine energy going on, and that's what you see now. That's why the world has a lot to say about Black men. Look at the man that spoke harshly against Black women, that he would rather do a white dog, and yet the very one he defended took his life. That's a true definition of a beta man. A real man don't have to do that. They can walk in their dignity and with their knowledge, and they're creative and can provide for their children. I'm personally so sick of modern times. Every second, Nikki can tell you, you see on all platforms somebody denigrating women all the time. I've never seen nothing like this until now. I never seen this in the 70s as a little girl, never seen it in the 80s when I was in elementary school, never even seen it in the 90s. This has just been modern since the 2000s is when you've seen this. And personally is sick of it. And Professor, you can also know that the white supremacists become so intimidated of a natural male masculinity, they're over obsessed with the genitalia. That's why every time they take the life of a brother, they want to, dissect his personal parts, eat the flesh of him, thinking that they're going to get the energy, and that's not going to happen.
A nurse just gave me a
Shout and
report on
prayer.
another on a black man just the other day and told me, hey, go
Yes.
take a look at his penis. It's constantly these white
Mhm.
nurses talking about the black man's penis and charting on him and always wanting to describe what their penis looks like. They are obsessed. But go ahead.
Very obsessed. I have been in the entertainment field for about a good 11, 12 years in the 90s. I've seen more of these men when they approach me, always want to know how they are in bed. And I would tell them, you'll never compare. You're very boring. You don't even have heat naturally to your body in terms of chemistry. They become intimidated that nowadays they even want to take your life for telling them the truth. And I always tell them, once you have been with a brother, there's a saying, once you go black, you'll never come back because we got heat to our bodies. Not just, heat for the weather, but it's a chemistry, it's a spiritual majara. And that's what we have. I'll land my plane there. Let's offer up prayers for Angie Stone,
Yeah.
who lost her life today.
Oh my
My
gosh.
heart goes out. Yeah, my heart goes out for her. I say, on a spiritual, I see things coming out. This was no
Go look at
accident.
Dewan
This
B's
was done
page.
purposely. Yeah, this was done purposely. Anytime you confront what is owed to you, people don't want you here. Just remember that. Love you, Nikki. Take care. Much Detroit love, Professor.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Empress. Thank you for swinging through.
I
Um,
just wanted
Go
to.
ahead, Nikki.
I'm sorry. I'm
No,
just
you're good.
all
Go
in.
ahead.
I'm all into it tonight. I don't have no work. Don't have no extra stuff to do. So I'm here, y'all. But yeah, I agree with everything she said. And you know how we foundational Black Americans, we don't do the gender divide. So I don't want anyone to think that that's where this room is going. But we also need to address this issue. People don't have to be. You don't. Every man does not have to be alpha, but when someone is the exact opposite, and I'll say this again, they do things like initiate beefs between women. That's a problem. And so we need for our men to lead. We don't need for them to pretend to lead. We don't need for them to sit around talking about leading. We need for them to lead. So
Exactly.
go
We
ahead.
need leaders. We don't have leaders
Oh, it's
anymore.
my go. Oh, never mind.
We don't have leaders anymore.
Okay.
And it's been changing, and that's by design. Wouldn't you agree,
Yeah,
Professor? This is done deliberately by design. Every time it becomes a leader
Sister Impress.
in the Black communities, it's gone.
Sister
Ye-
Impress, I'm not gonna cut you off. I want you to stay up here and just continue to stay a part of the conversation for the whole space if you want. But I want to let our brother Kanye go. He's been up here for a minute. I wanted to let him go. I'm so stay up here
Yeah,
and you
Okay.
can talk. Go
and
ahead.
Empress,
Okay.
I appreciate your cook. You cooked us a whole breakfast. It was delicious. Go ahead, brother Kanye.
What's going on, Professor? How
Man,
you doing,
long
Brother
time no
Nikki?
see, bro.
Yeah, I like what you're doing with the place. Looks nice in here. I like the couches. So,
You
who's the
funny.
alpha male? The FBA or the African? What is FBA swagger? Our brother Tariq talks in depth about the Majara spirit. If you're not, check out his YouTube channel, Tariq Radio. Go ahead, check it out. He gives a breakdown of that, and that's basically what it is. Um, Being an alpha male is not about inflicting violence or forcing people to do anything. It's it's kind of like people naturally follow you, right? But with that same natural charisma that a lot of black men have, there comes a sense of challenge people have. And it's not because they actually want to beat you, it's because they feel inferior to you. So a lot of times they'll try to do things to prove they're on the same level as you, like argue with you, disagree with your points, try to make you choose sides and shit. They ain't got nothing to do with you. They do weird shit, and you just sit back and you watch it. But that's how you know who's used to positions of power and who's not, because people who used to power don't abuse it, and a lot of people aren't used to that. Um, and the sister was saying something very interesting when I got came into the room. A lot of these men who would have been more dominant, and not necessarily violence, but more dominant in the way that they speak and the way that they walk and the way they conduct themselves. Um, that's been driven out of them. A lot of these men weren't raised to be men. Yeah, they grew up soft. Fathers weren't there, which is why we all have to step up, as black men and be those leaders in the community, help people out, give advice where it's needed, correct when necessary, and chastise when necessary. And we have to understand the respect for people. And it's not like the old days where you can just chastise a kid you don't know. You have to actually get to know these people before you can make any form of correction. And that takes time, patience, and understanding. And those are skills you have to constantly work on. Um, we're not perfect. We've been through a lot. And like the sister said, a lot of this is by design. And the way we redo this is by doing what the brother Khalid Muhammad said: information and inspiration, which is why what the professor and his spaces, along with his two co-hosts, are doing are very important. Like information, and inspiration in the community, because there's so much to be learned and there's so much to be taught. And I do love this space because you guys teach and learn at the same time. It's a beautiful thing. So Everybody else, when it comes to the rest of the world, they all copy what we do. If you go over to the London, the UK scene, and shout out to them by the way, they have this thing called grime music. It's literally a ripoff of American drill, literally a ripoff. But we didn't even know it existed. They use our slang, they use our talk, all type of shit. Everybody copies us. Whatever we do, they do. Even the shit that they had, we made it cool. They weren't wearing dashikis like that. Well, they were, but they weren't proud of it. It wasn't until we started wearing the dashikis with J's and shit, and they was like, "Oh fuck it, now we love it." They love it now. So it's like, whatever we do, the whole world tends to follow. Every music art form we created, when it's old to us, they pick it up and they run around and they just everybody has our old toys. We make new things. I know one brother said only guys can create, and again, not being too religious, but kind of who we are as a people. So I do think the question in itself is a very important question that needs to be asked, and I think every black man should look in the mirror and ask yourself, how can I be better today? What can I do to make the next man coming up better? Because a lot of the times we tend to forget that there's an entire generation watching us. And if we don't set the example for them, they'll be lost like we was coming up. Because a lot of us didn't have examples to look at. Now, I'm not talking about myself and my father in my life, unlike many other people I know. But a lot of people didn't have that father figure. Not telling you to go out there and adopt a bunch of children. What I am telling you is set a better example. All right. It's okay to pull the kid to the side and let them know. Give us some attention. But that's all I want to say. Shout out to you guys, man. Appreciate the conversation, Professor.
Oh yeah, love it, Kanye. Now we about to go. Empress really opened up a bag of worms that we gonna have. I'm gonna take these bag of worms. I'm gonna put a hook on them, and we gonna go fishing, and we gonna eat that fish tonight. You understand me? So y'all go get my goddamn hot sauce. Um,
And that's some Alabama shit for you right there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You gonna cook me some fish, baby? Anyway, back to the issue. Um, where I don't even know where to start with this alpha male. Now, earlier we talked about Booker T. Washington being an alpha because he stood up to a system that would have your motherfucking ass killed. That system was called Rockefeller. I forget the name of Rockefeller's. He had a security and detail. He had like private cops that would just waste people. They had Tommy guns. Booker T knew this, and he decided that his love for Black Americans was greater than his life. And he took that risk, and he lost his life for it. And nobody talks about that. We'll talk about it tonight. But let's look back at why the Empress brought up basically that why is alpha male, why is FBA alpha male status so threatening? Why does it challenge the core of the system of white supremacy? Well, our dear sister, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, um, uh, identified that ad nauseum. Um, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing says, quote, the envy of the black male phallus is addressed unconsciously when whites constantly concern themselves with the comparative size of the black phallus versus the size of the white phallus. This concern is in the form of the following question. Is the black male's, I'm going to say junk, really greater than the size. I like saying, again, is
Yes.
the black
Yes.
You know what's never mind. Yeah.
greater than the size of the white male?
Yes.
Absolutely, yes. It
I looked
feels
at all the
better.
statistics.
It rocks better.
Oh.
Many women can agree.
I interviewed a whole bunch of women, and yeah, their men suck. And that includes, here's the part that's funny, the African men are not rated very high on sexuality. We're not saying they don't have, any junk, but they don't know what to do with the junk. It is actual junk,
Mm-mm. Wow. Whoa.
according to the interviews.
um, Dr. Wilson says, in my practice, this is in her medical practice. She says a black mother informed me that her 6-year-old son, 6 years old, ladies and gentlemen, attending a predominantly white elementary school, reported that that one of his white male classmates had told him that he, the black child, um, was more endowed. The mother stated that she asked her son what is his response what his response was. Her son, according to Dr. Welsing, told the Caucasian that all black boys are more endowed. So this is the issue. Why is an elementary school child interested? That think about how deep that goes in the unconscious mind. Um, Dr. Welson says it's obvious that in above situation in a school with a majority of white children at shower bath time, that the dominant society would have had an ample opportunity to observe. He would have had the same opportunity at home. His need to comment on the size of the black endowment, that his black junk must have stood out by other in comparison. Even at this tender age, it is certainly clear that the black male had no concerns or fears about the black male penis. So basically, that's not in the black male's mind. We don't think that. Like we're not. Matter of fact, that's the last goddamn thing on my mind when I'm at the gym or in the. I don't want to think about that. You know what I'm saying? So why is that such a pressing issue? And and you know what I'm saying?
That's the main issue of mammals
Tell me more.
hooking up with women.
Oh,
You're that's the root of all of these problems. If you can't be the alpha male and wrangle in all the women, now we're not antelopes, so the men don't fight each other to be able to mate with all the women, but we are mammals, and we do have that in our minds. The man who's able to satisfy the most women, even if it's just perceptions, is going to be the one that's going to be the alpha male. You see, the
yeah.
women will sense that, and the men will sense it as well. They'll sense that women would rather be with them. This is what has caused an endless situation with white men and black people as a whole, but it's really black men because they put that black man on the auction block to humiliate him.
And it
And when they
backfired.
did that, they humiliated themselves. Their women saw an eyeful and they tipped out to those slave quarters.
Wow. That's interesting, Wani. I've had used to have to fight a lot when I was a teenager. I used to have to fight all the time, and I would come to a new school, and the boys would immediately want to fight me. I didn't understand that that's what it was about. It was about I was viewed as a threat. But a lot of black males have that problem, and it's embedded deeply in this is what makes it so fucking dangerous. It's embedded deeply in the unconscious mind of the dominant society. They're thinking, like what Wani just said, they're thinking, oh my God, this dude is here. He can please my woman better than I can. So you become a threat without even knowing you're a threat. Well, I'm Professor A is here to tell you that black man, you are a fucking threat. You better know it. You better understand it. Dr. Francis Cress Welsing said this should quote this should help to explain why white males wish others to view them or wish to view themselves as strong, powerful, and important. Let me say those three words again, according to Welsing: strong, powerful, and important. Well, um, we're in a very dangerous situation because the system of white supremacy, the dominant society, has been able to use its money to accomplish those three objectives: strong, powerful, and mostly important. But the money ain't what it used to be. So the competition, their ability to compete, is slacking, which is why. My educational theory, that's why school shootings are on the rise. The frustration level is through the roof. Dr. Welton says they, being the dominant society, wish others to believe that they are the longer the cigar. Perhaps the foul odor is to draw the attentions of others with their long black cigars, their symbolic phallus. Let me say what Dr. Wells, and let me break it down to normal speak. Dr. Wells just said some powerful shit. What does a powerful white man typically do to show how powerful he is? He smokes a what? A cigar. A cigar is long, thick, and black. So what Dr. Welson just said, for the dominant society to prove that it's powerful, it can't pull out its junk. It displays its pseudo junk. Instead of saying, "Look at me on the auction block, I'm butt naked," it says, "Look at how big and black my cigar is." Isn't that crazy?
Yep. And look how big my car is, and look how big my wallet is.
Big, big,
Mhm.
big. Yes.
Big my gun is.
Yes, yes, and yes. Wani, you're psychic because the next sentence says, no shit. The next sentence says also, it says, quote, also the most more powerful and important the white man perceives himself, the longer is his black limousine. Y'all never thought about that shit, have you? I have a long black limousine. That's his junk. That's his endowment. It's a pseudo phallus.
Yes.
Let's look at it this way. What Welsing is saying is this group can't compete with what was given naturally, so it looks for an unconscious way to display to women that it has something long, thick, and black.
Yep. And they rely heavily on resources which they have, illegally obtained, cheating to win. And so when they cheat to win and still lose, this creates a horrible backlash, which manifests in shootings and killing your whole family. They're just not able to deal with it because they don't have basic things that women like. They don't know how to relate to women. We already know that. They don't know how to sexually satisfy women. And they know that their women's minds are on these other thoughts, wonder what it would be like, or maybe they already did it and they're comparing that experience to what that man is doing. All of these things prey on their mind, every move they make.
Wow. Dr. Welsing said both. Thank you. That was a great one. Dr. Welsing says both the car and the cigar can be viewed as phallic symbols. Perhaps, Dr. Welsing says, perhaps black and dark brown pipes also should be viewed as similar symbols. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you how dangerous this shit gets. Welsing says, it is again little wonder that white men build missiles shaped in the form of you know what? A nuclear.
Look up in the jumbotron.
Oh, what you got? Hold on. Hold on, I'm looking. Come on now. Oh, wow.
Yep. Yep.
Yep, yep, big long black guns. She say the missiles, nuclear missile. I'm gonna blow up your world. That's they big black right there, and paint them white. And anybody who's ever been in the military community or been around military bases, I've always wondered why missiles on jets are. If you look at missiles, big old long phallic symbols, what color are they? They're white. Dr. Wilson said they're painted white to make up for the well, you know what I'm trying to say. She says they paint them white and use them to annihilate people color around them. Ain't that deep? Y'all see how deep our sister Dr. Welsing was? She said that the European males put a missile on a plane that's designed to blow up black people, to blow up melanated people. Think of all the wars we went to. What color were people in Vietnam? What color were people in Iraq? What color were people in Afghanistan? What color are people in Mogadishu? You know, Dr. Weldon just said you put a missile on a goddamn plane and you paint it, you make it long, phallic, white, and you use it to destroy um, melanated people. What Dr. Weldon just said without saying is they're reacting out of their subconscious mind because the black male's endowment can wipe out their whole um, genealogy without firing a shot. Ain't that deep?
And you know what else is so strange? A lot of the women that are having sex with black men and even having their children, they're racist. But their sexual urges override their racism temporarily, and then they revert back to being racist and while they raise those children.
Well, Wanda, you're gonna have to explain that to me. I agree with you, but I just don't. I see it a lot. I see it in Atlanta a whole bunch, and I can't comprehend it. So, what is it? Is it just a
Well, it's like you'll have a lot of Servicemen will go over in Asia, and those women are they're racist. They're ethnic bigots, whatever you want to call them. They have an anti-black sentiment in their whole culture, permeated in the culture, but they cannot control themselves. They will always have sex with black men and produce with them all the time and leave all these tan children over there. Of course, they win beauty contests, but they'll leave all these tan children over there to fend for themselves in these Japanese or Chinese settings, Filipino settings, where people are very anti black against their children.
Interesting. So, Juan, am I hearing you say that when our servicemen go overseas, you have a non-black woman who just despises the black male, despises everything about us, but just the sheer alphaness, the sheer
Mm-hmm.
power, they
Mm-hmm.
bow down and end up
Mm-hmm.
pregnant,
They're very attracted to them.
and they hate it.
And they still don't like black people. That's the same thing that happens here with white women. They are get very attracted, and yet they will raise their children and turn them into tragic mulattoes and everything else. So I don't know what the answer is to that, but that keeps happening all the time with these other women. They're very attracted, but they still can't overcome their racism.
Mm-mm. Let's hear what Most Love got to say about this. We're gonna go to Most Love, then we're going to BR. What's on your mind about this subject, Most Love?
Hey, I was just gonna agree um, with Sister Wani about the black male being an alpha. Even though I'm African, of course. I know you all have been seeing what's going on in Europe. They're getting bred out of existence. The Europeans are up in shambles, very upset that their seed is going missing. They're very, very upset that they will cease to exist in another 300 years, and they're grasping for straws. So that's all I had to say.
Okay, so
300? You mean 30 years?
Yeah, we could say 30.
I
Yeah.
don't think it's going to take 300 years at this rate.
Yeah.
so let's be real, bro. Who's more alpha male, the FBA or the African man? Be real.
I'm going to say the African man.
Oh,
Wait, wait, wait.
How?
Let me give my
How?
reasoning.
go
You
ahead.
wear
I
dresses.
want to hear
Well,
this.
I posted an off the shoulder dress that you guys fashioned for yourself. How are you alpha? I will. No, 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 no. You have lost your mind.
wow.
You do not
We were
know.
doing good,
Please.
Sister Wani.
Women don't even like you. Women are not. I've never heard a woman say anything about an African man being hot in bed. Never.
Wait a minute, Sister Wani. We were doing
Ever.
good. But look, when they
The
go over
only.
to Ghana and Nigeria, they a lot of white women go over there and they
We didn't say
are
that. White
searching for
women
some
don't.
soul pole.
Let me tell you something. White women don't know what they're doing. Okay, they do not understand the different brands. So you
Well,
can't use them as a barometer. They think anything black is good. Now use a real woman, a black woman who's been with a black American man. They know the difference.
well, our African women stick with African men.
No, they don't. They
Yes,
no,
that is
they
not.
can't get black American men. They
I'm
don't
gonna.
stick with you.
I'm still gonna say the African male is the most dominant because
How?
let's
You
go back
can't.
in history. The
How?
Europeans viewed us as dominant, and that's why we
How?
sold off the weaker species to,
Well,
to Europeans.
How?
no,
But wait a minute. Wait,
How?
brother,
I just had to say
You
no,
that.
get slapped upside the head. Listen, let me explain
that's
what we're
not
talking.
true, man. Go ahead,
A
one.
Chinese man can go over there, slap you upside the head, but he can't beat me up. So I'm more alpha male than African men. And that's it. You're not alpha males. Everybody runs up on you. People don't run up on me when I'm in Ukraine giving me a banana, but they run up on you guys. They don't block me from getting on public transportation over in Eastern Europe, but they slap your ass out the way. So how are you alpha? Who are you alpha to? You've been colonized over top of colonized, over top. You've been Arabized, Europeanized, you've been Christianized, you've been Islamified. You're not alpha, you're not dictating anything. You don't fight anything. So how are you alpha?
Exactly, Wani.
You are
Well,
beta, beta,
So
beta. You might
the
be less than beta. No, you're not even beta. Beta is actually gets a bad rap. Beta is just the guy that didn't beat up the alpha guy. That's not bad, okay? Beta's fine. but you're down there with
A
gamma.
sigma, a
Okay.
damn sigma male, man.
Yeah, you're way down.
Wait, but I think Sigma's better
The
than Beta
sigmas
though,
are
because they
wild
go their
card.
own way.
No, no, no. Go get the list. Go get the
Well,
list.
well, well ladies and gentlemen, what he said is just not true. With all due respect, if you look at our definition of alpha earlier, one of the criterion is you had to be fearless. When I look at West African men, I see nothing but fear. I've seen videos of Chinese people beating their ass upside the head with a stick. I wish that shit would happen to me. I'd take that stick and fucking strangle them with it. Hit me
Well,
upside the head with a stick, pretty goddamn please.
what about all those Japanese women complaining online that they thought they were hanging out with a black American man and it was a nothing but an African?
Would you
Yeah.
mind sending me that? Because I would love to see that.
Uh
Honestly,
oh, here go
You want to
here,
no,
here
you
go
want to
honestly,
here
I'm
goes
not
that
trying to get her in a
African.
gotcha moment. I honestly would want to see
Here
it.
goes that
Mhm.
African and say so. They always want to see it.
No, I
Well,
mean it's cool. It sounds good. I do want to see it though. It sounds funny.
this is a common thing where people think they're hanging out with a black American and they know something's off, and then they discover these aren't black Americans. They're not cool. They're not the ones that we need to hang out with to get cool points. So they know what they're doing, they know who they're looking for to hang out with, to be cool, or to date.
Yeah,
What
my
what
homeboy, a Marine, he's stationed in Japan, and the black neighborhood is called Roppongi, something like that. And there's actually a black neighborhood, FBA neighborhood in Japan, Roppongi, and full of servicemen, really. But he says Japanese girls go there. They call it Roppongi hunting. They go looking for a FBA, and they get flodged by fucking Nigerians trying to pretend like they us. So, so one essential category to be an alpha male is being fearless and standing on 10 and fighting. Like we just brought up Booker T. Washington. Fighting don't mean you have to use your fist or your pistol. Booker T. Washington used his mouthpiece and his mind, looked right in the face at death in the form of Rockefeller, and lied to his ass to get the money to build Tuskegee Institute, which still stands. That's alpha. So with that same maxim, can y'all tell me a time and place where West African men stood on two and defeated the European? Can you give me one example?
well, I
And
can't
don't
specifically.
say Shaka Zulu, because Shaka Zulu fought other blacks, other Africans.
Very true, but he's still a black African.
I said, can you tell me a time, brother, where black West Africans stood up to the oppressive Europeans, stood on two and stood on 10 and fought them off the land? One
Well,
example, just one.
I personally cannot give you an example, but I'm
Because
sure
it
there are
don't
some.
exist.
That's not true. Anything could be exist. You just got to look it up. I'm sure it exists.
This brother couldn't give me one example of an African fighting white men off the land.
Well,
And Africa is the
well,
biggest continent on the goddamn planet.
yeah. Well, this is exactly why we have you all. You all are Africans. See,
Oh, trying to. I'm not African, dude. I'm American.
but I do have a question. Do you think that the Black American warlike capabilities come from the European side? Do you think that could be true?
No, I think the Black American warlike capability is an amalgamation of different DNA strands coming together in perfect harmony and being tempered with all the stress and all the pain we went through. It formed us like a goddamn diamond. That's why you don't see us anywhere on the planet.
We Africans are relatively peaceful, and we prefer to solve a lot of
What?
issues with our mouths, and just talk it out. It's okay.
What?
But I think a lot of you Black Americans, the European war side likes to come out, and you all aren't white, so it doesn't fit well with you all. But that's that European war like evil side coming out. Your
You mean me?
violence.
You mean me roasting you?
Ha-
No, no, no. I'm talking about the physical aspects of it, not necessarily
It's
being
When
mean.
did
I'm
we
talking
beat you?
about
When did we do a
being mean.
genocide?
That's what I was
When did
about
we
to
do a
say, Juan.
genocide?
It's very strange how he ignores genocides and pits of bodies, pits of albino arms being barbecued on a spit. Like, how do you ignore that? We've never had a genocide, not one. Y'all having a genocide right now. We've never sold a slave, not one. And y'all selling slaves right now in Mauritania.
UFBA should be giving us our props because the genocides are necessary evil
Right.
that we have
A
in Africa to
genocide is a
to get
necessary
everyone on
evil.
code.
What?
We have to get them on code.
Well, where is that? Hold on. Where is all that genocide energy towards the European?
Well, we have to get our people straight first, and then you see what's happening in South
Sir,
Africa.
how long?
We have to get our people straight first.
How long is it gonna take to get your people straight? 8,000 years.
When you're dealing with a group of dumbasses and you have a couple of true lions amongst the mix, it's going to take a while. A lot of the dumbasses like to rebel. You have to get them in order.
Well, that is true. They are dumbasses, I have to admit.
We agree. We agree. I'm not going to deny that. Yes, but there are a couple of lions with the right head on their shoulders getting things in order as needed.
Well, black. Let me point out historically that foundational Black Americans got our shit together in 20 years. From 1840 until 18, let's say 1860 into 1890, a little over 20 years. We reorganized, got our shit together, got on code, and put Ulysses S. Grant, a Republican, in office, and got Reconstruction popping like a motherfucker. That's under 30 years. So you mean to tell me y'all gonna do what we did, and it's been 8,000 years? How much more time do you need?
Well, you see, the Europeans have been extorting Africa for a very long time. You all know
No,
that.
now they've been
Yes.
extorting us. Now what? And ruining our towns and derailing us.
And you all are the poorest demographic in the United
Not
Why
States.
not
you want
true.
to?
That's
Not
true.
true.
That is
We
very
have more
true.
money than most Africa, than all of West Africa. I already
Facts.
did.
Very true.
I
Agreed. Very
did
true
the.
because
I
the
did
US
the.
dollar.
I did the statistics. We have as much money as sub-Saharan Africa.
Right?
The whole thing.
You're 100% correct because of
Well,
the
then we're
US
not
dollar
some
strength.
broke ass hoes like you're trying to say.
Reach.
In the US, you're broke, and
We're
that's
not
the only
baby
thing you care
mamas. We're
about.
none of that. Just be quiet. Stop trying to slip your little corny insults in.
Wait a minute, Sister Wani. I'm not trying to insult anyone. I'm just saying this is a fact.
It's
Are.
not true, bro. I'm gonna pull it. I'm gonna pull one of your games. Post the statistics in the jumbotron, please, sir. Eh,
Google.
no, 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 no. You said it, so post them. Miss Stacy, what are your thoughts on this subject?
Um,
It's good to see you, sister.
it's thank you. How y'all doing? Hey, Nikki. Hey, Wani. Hey, Professor. Thank you so much for letting me up.
Yes, ma'am.
It's comedy. It's a joke. I just, every time I listen to these spaces and I hear them come in here, I always think, and I was just talking to my baby sister about this last night. It was, and I reminded her, I said, because I was, I'm trying to school her on these, when I learn something, each one teach one. I always try to tell her what more information about what I've been getting from here. But I reminded her because it always reminds, anyone ever see that movie, The Power of One, back in the 90s?
I missed it.
It's basically about, every time I think about it, and my sister, I remember her telling me, she goes, "Oh, that was one of my favorite movies. I used to love that movie. You used to always make us watch it." And it basically was this little white boy. They always gotta be the hero that helps the black people. But it's based, it's apartheid in Africa. And I'm I'm trying to sum it up, but basically it's that white dude, Stephen Dorff is in it. Morgan Freeman is in it. And it's basically about trying to end apartheid and bringing the Africans together against the oppressors. And every time I think about when they come in here and they try to talk mess about FBAs, but then they're in our country. And just like I think I was listening to a space with Tariq, and it's so crazy because he's like, "You're over here. What they're always trying to tell us to go over there, but they don't want to be over there." Then they always try to say, "Oh, well, we're getting it together." And no, you're not. They can't get on code with each other. They have too many. They're so divisive. They have too many tribes and all that. So in this movie, there's an area. This is where Morgan Freeman's character comes in. They're in prison, And they throw all these Africans, different tribes, into this prison together, and they're fighting in prison because they're different tribes and they can't get along. Now, I was telling my sister, I said, during slavery, and yeah, they had different, we were already here, and then the Africans that they did bring over, um, you kind of had no choice because they understood, you have a common enemy. This is somebody that's trying to do something to you that's wrong. And we all, every melanated person got on code, right? And I'm thinking, why can't they do that? And in this movie, it took this white boy to get them together.
Wow,
And
I gotta check. I gotta check that movie out, Miss Stacy. I wanted to
but
point out. I wanted
I'm
to.
sorry, real quick, but
Go ahead. Go ahead. Can you hear me?
sorry, I got muted. I was just gonna say
Oh, I
real
didn't
quick,
mute you.
they need to watch this movie because I'm thinking, here's your thing right here. Here's your tip. Watch this. This is what y'all need to do. Pay attention. This is what he's doing. He's putting y'all together because you guys are the majority, but you letting these people do this to you and dominate y'all. And it's like y'all still can't get it. And I don't understand it. But it's funny. They called him the Rainmaker. But you gotta watch the movie. I don't
Well,
know how you guys will feel about it,
do
but
do me a favor. Do me a favor, Miss Stacy, and
sure,
DM me the name of the movie. I want to check it out. But
absolutely.
I want to point out something before it gets lost in context. That the gentleman came up here talking about we're getting rid of. I'm paraphrasing, but he's basically saying we're getting rid of our dumbasses or something like that. And basically, what he was
Mhm.
saying on a strategic level is he's trying to West Africa is trying to organize. And I just want to let y'all know that Professor James Small said history will erase the mystery. And my question was, how much fucking time do you need? The Europeans invaded East Africa, and started their death march on West Africa in 332 BC. How much fucking time do you need? I just said the Europeans start ravaging and beating the shit out of Africans 332 years before the time of Jesus the Christ. Then they're still organizing. How much time is too much time, ladies and gentlemen?
No, it's a lost cause. Before we get away from what we were talking about, I just want to say that when you look at sports, you'll see that the black man's sports prowess influences everybody on every field, no matter what the field is. So you're going to look at soccer and you're going to see them, doing salutes and stare downs and confident struts and just, walking around in the same identical way that we've seen our legendary athletes walk around with this pride about themselves. They didn't look like that before. They did not look like that before. They were very goofy in sports. Very goofy. You can go look at how they played sports. You can look at how they boxed. The pictures of them boxing before real men got in the ring with them and showed them how to be men. Our men influence everybody on every field. If you don't have the swag of a black American man, you don't even look right. You don't look like a man.
Yeah, yeah, and Wani, damn, that hit a little different. Um, that took a minute. That seeped in for a minute, and damn. Dr. Welsing says white males with Sigmund Freud's help, here comes Freud again, have projected. We had a space, ladies and gentlemen, that showed that Sigmund Freud fucked up the whole goddamn planet with his ridiculous ideology. Um, Dr. Wilson says white males with Freud's help have projected their own intense sense of loss, injury, inadequacy, and envy as genetic recessive albino mutants who are being annihilated genetically by both black males and females. She says, quote, it is they, white males, who have primary penis envy, which is manifest in their envy of black male penises. They then project, this is important, ladies and gentlemen, project their sense of inferiority into white females, causing them in turn to develop secondary penis envy. The accuser now stands himself accused. That's what Wani was talking about earlier with I think with other groups of women like um falling in love or lust, whatever, with the black male and then hating them for it. And what I just read to you, ladies and gentlemen, in a nutshell, according to Dr. Howard Zinn, is why white women, I think it was the 19th Amendment, got their right to vote, because this projection of the European male to the woman that, of this insecurity for the black phallus, in turn, cause a European woman will say, "I'm mad at you. I'm gonna get with the black phallus."
Hmm.
And when in the 19, and y'all listen to me fucking clearly, nobody talks about Dr. Howard Zinn did, but nobody reads anymore. In the teens, 19 teens, when white women, the Italians and Irish who weren't white yet, but they were getting into whiteness, were allowed to join the UWW, the union, and black men were then allowed to join the UWW. The white women came up with a plan. We're just going to sleep with the black man to get back at our men, and it worked. Now, beating white women in the street, according to Dr. Howard Zinn, I'm paraphrasing, with canes and murder, that didn't initiate the 19th Amendment. But the moment that white women, Italian and particularly Irish women, started getting with brothers in the UWW, the white male came to the what do you call it, the negotiating table. Now, think about that, ladies and gentlemen. Think of how powerful that is. That we um, white love for the black male, um, or obsession. I don't know what the appropriate word is.
Lust.
Lust has triggered toll amendments. In conclusion, before I ramble on, Black America, Black America, period, but Black American men in particular, I'm here to let you know how fucking powerful you are. The moment you realize how powerful you are, ladies and gentlemen, it is over. It's a wrap. Actify Press, I ain't seen you in a while. What's on your mind?
So I just want to, I
What's
just,
up? What's up,
Professor,
Professor?
Professor,
What's up,
Hey,
bro?
ladies. How y'all doing?
Oh, I'm sorry,
Everyone good?
Actify. I'm sorry. I skipped over BR. I totally skipped
No
over.
problem. You
I'm
good?
sorry, Actify. Go ahead, BR.
yeah, thank you so much, Professor. Last week I wanted to speak about something. You were speaking about a wonderful topic, but anyway, I just want to find out from my sister Empress there, with regard to an African male. What are the consequences of African male having a relationship with a white man? I mean, I'm sorry, with the white woman.
What?
You know,
What about it?
no, I just want to find out how is it possible that you know
Are
everyone
you
is
up
saying
here
that.
trying to tell us to how you can get a white woman?
No, 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 no. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm
No,
talking
he
about
said a
something.
white man. He said a
No, no, no,
white
You
no, no,
want a
no.
man.
white boy?
No,
You want a
it,
white
it,
boy?
it was a mistake. It was a mistake. I was talking about a white
Yeah, but we
woman.
like to
Was it?
we like to make fun of it though.
It was a
Okay, go
mistake. I
ahead.
didn't mean to.
Get these things out.
Yeah,
Get these
yeah. My
things out
apologies.
clearly.
My apologies.
You are
Yeah.
trying to find out what about a white woman?
No, yeah, yeah. Why white women are so obsessed with African men? Because
No,
they,
they're
I don't
obsessed
know.
with black men and they think you're good
Yeah, black men,
enough.
yes, black men, yes. Why
No,
are so
black
obsessed with
American
black?
men.
I just want to find
You're
out why are
second
so
best. You see,
obsessed.
they can't go on sexual tourism to the hood. That wouldn't look good. So they have to go hide out over in Africa where nobody can see them molesting everybody. You see, it wouldn't look good if they said, we're going to go sexual tourism in Chicago. Yeah, that wouldn't look right. They're still
But
hiding it from white men
now,
somewhat.
what are the consequences of them doing that?
Consequences of white women having sex with African men?
Yeah, yes.
I,
A lot of tan babies.
well, I don't. I see. I don't.
And then who's losing? And who's losing then
BR,
now? Who's
where BR? Hold on, let's get something straight. What part of Africa you referring to? West Africa?
I'm Africa? I'm not from West Africa, but I'm just wanna find out. Seen a lot of
Where are you from?
videos on YouTube whereby those European are coming to West Africa and having a
See,
relationship
but that's
with young
that's
boys.
not true, sir. I still got an active visa. I go to West Africa frequently, and from what I seen in West Africa, I never even thought to bring this up, Wani. But what I see in West Africa is a lot of babies by Asian men. The mixed babies over there are half Chinese, and the majority of the parents are men who had mixed Asian babies with West African women. Now, every once in a while, I've seen an Asian woman with a little half African baby, but I'm not seeing when I travel to Ghana and
No,
to Togo, I don't see. I don't really see that many biracial white and black baby. And to be honest with you, let me be 100. I don't think I've ever seen a biracial baby in Ghana, um, or Togo or Benin. I don't think I've ever seen one. I've seen a lot of mixed Asian babies, Chinese, half Chinese
but what about
babies.
Professor? What about those old white women who are migrating to West Africa to have a relationship with African male? You know, in
I
their
think
Mm,
80s, in their
18-year-olds.
I think
Yeah.
that Wani really just answered your question. The reason why they're doing that is because they can't come to America and do it. West Africa has all kind of deals where you can do shit that's immoral and illegal, and if in America it's too visible, you can't do that.
Yeah, and gross. So, an 80-year-old woman that wants to have sex with an 18-year-old boy,
Ugh.
if she were to try to do that here, ew, it wouldn't work out very well. So that's why they go over there to do that type of thing.
but I just want to find out. Do you know any reason behind why are they doing that? Those old age
Because
women.
they are using you as a sex toy. You're a sex toy to them.
All right. Well,
You know,
But
thank.
but but
sexual tourism.
but spirituality. What
You
are the
are part of.
consequences?
Hold on. Sexual tourism is what it's called.
Yep. Yep. And they crack down on that shit hard in the States, so we don't see it here. We're gonna move on to Actify Press, and then we'll go to Force. Actify, what's on your mind, brother?
Oh, nothing much. A lot of shit went through my mind, but I think I'll just go back to the main thing. The main thing here is, from to my mind, I think this dynamic, especially the sexual dynamic, uh, is a is what is a big root cause of the resistance. That's the word I was looking for. The resistance to reparations. All right, because once we have money, because the economics is how they keep us out of their spaces, right? Out of the neighborhoods, out of their schools, out of their restaurants. I would hope that we build our own spaces, but in the meantime, we'll be able to move around the country as we please if we have the right money.
Mm,
And they know, once there's no threat of falling into poverty, there's no threat of, okay, I'm gonna cut you out of my will. Once that threat is gone, they are not going to be able to keep their women. That's their biggest fucking fear, bar none. And I think um
oh my God.
and I think that's why you always hear, if we give you reparations, you got to go back to Africa, because they know they can't compete.
Okay.
That's that is, to my mind, that is at the root of a lot of this resistance we get. And that's almost all I got. I'm good.
I
Y'all want to
agree.
comment on?
I agree, Actify. The main reason that white men even get women, I can, Professor,
Oh, you can hear me. Okay, well, I'm showing you. So, okay, my bad. Oh,
the main reason that white men get women to begin with is because they have money. They have money. They don't have charisma. They don't have charm. They don't have anything that women like. As you saw, their women had to fight them to be educated, to not be slapped upside the head, to go to school. They were very abusive. It doesn't matter what you think they are, they were abusive enough for women to have a whole women's rights movement. Okay. And feminist movements after that. So they don't know how to relate to women. They're not funny for the most part. They're dry, and the only thing they can do is get money and lord the money over the woman. And that's it. If they have to compete with black men, it's a wrap. It's over. It is finished for them.
And that terrifies them. I truly believe that terrifies them.
Yeah.
Black men get women with no money. What's going to happen with money?
Forgive the disruption, but my lady was showing me. She overheard the conversation. She showed me some. She knew about some of the things we were talking about, and showed me something that kind of freaked me out. The pictures I'm adding in the jumbotron is evidence of that sex tourism that happens in West Africa with young men and 80-year-old women. So if y'all look in the jumbotron, these are examples from what? Oh Lord, the
Wait,
look. Yeah,
do
yeah.
do we have to?
It's hard.
They
You
sell
know what? I advise
themselves.
you not. Don't do it.
They sell themselves, they sell their women, and they sell their children. So I'm not surprised.
It's terrible. Ladies and gentlemen, if you look in the Jumbotron, you'll see Our Story Publications. If you want a copy of my book, where I go in depth on the lineage and psychological warfare effects on the foundational Black American. Um, you can buy a copy of my book for $25. Put $25 on the Cash App and put your full address and zip code inside the Cash App, and I will send a book out to you in several days. If you bought a book from me last week, I appreciate it. I had a very large order, and today I sent out your book, so you should be getting them in the mail shortly. In addition, in the jumbotron, you'll shortly see Wani Spots and Nikki the God's Cash App. Show them love for their hard due diligence and scholarship for the liberation of our people is coming up shortly. Now, I see that. Hold on one second. Uh, let's see. Force is in here. I'm going to entertain this on a provisional basis. Come on, Force. Let's see where you're going with this.
Thank you so much. It's been a while, Professor.
Yes.
And I'm just going to go straight to the topic. I don't want to talk about the sexual stuff you posted because there's a lot of things I want to say about it, but I'll go straight to the topic.
You don't know nothing
Um,
about sex. Be quiet.
who's can one be respectful? Um, who's the alpha male, the FBA or the African? It's quite funny. This question is even supposed to be asked. It's just like two men. One is living in a trash house, but he owns the house. And the other one is living with his master. It's a luxury house. It's nice, but it's living under his master. And he don't own nothing in the house. But the other guy owns the house, though it's
You don't
trashy,
even have a country. What are
though
you
though the
talking
bed
about?
is trashy, though the
What are
infrastructure,
you talking about? Your country was
but
made
he
by a
owns the
white
house,
prostitute.
right?
You don't own anything and you have to run away from
I'm being
Nigeria.
muted. Can I have a conversation? I'm being
No,
muted. Can I?
because I'm muting you. Duh.
You don't want to hear an opposing view? Can I give my opinion without being
No,
muted, please?
no.
Oh God of mercy! You just want these people to hear one side of view. You don't
Correct.
want them to hear something else.
You
Yes,
hit.
that's right.
Oh, okay. You're programming them to just hear your own point of view and not the other point of view. Is that what you do here?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is very. I love this because this is an example of non-alpha male behavior. He's whining to us.
Can I talk? I'm being muted. I complain about being muted. You say I'm whining to you.
You
Come
are
on now.
whining. You're saying, "Can you please listen to
I'm
me,
being muted. I'm being muted, Professor. You're not being
sir?
honest.
Sir, I'm not muting you.
God of
Why am
mercy.
I listening to you then?
Right? You're back. You're like
Can I give my opinion to the topic?
No.
you're."
Oh, God of mercy.
And ladies and gentlemen, I want to push to your memory that feminine women respect alpha males, and it's just the order of nature. And women do not respect non-alpha males. So if you notice, Mister,
Oh, please, Professor. Please, Professor.
see
Please.
he's begging, he's whining. Uh,
Please, Professor.
please is a beg.
Can I finish up? Can I finish up,
Not right now,
please?
son. Not right now.
I'm being diplomatic. Can I finish
He's
up?
begging. So the good way to see who's alpha is in a crowd, and this real talk, even in the elementary school, it doesn't matter, is to see
So you don't want me to give my
is
opinion?
to
No, duh, we already went over that.
Okay. Black
is
America.
to watch women to see
You guys are scared of an educated African, I
to
guess.
educate
Do you
them.
know one?
You're scared of an educated African, I guess.
Where is he?
Well,
Then let me talk.
No.
oh man, you see it real nice on like in the school, like the in an educational setting, feminine
Um,
fem,
guys, come on.
feminine women bow down. Bow down is not a good term, but they respect an alpha male and they don't respect a non-alpha male. So I see a Nigerian flag by Mr. Force's name. So where do y'all think he fits? Does he fit in alpha male or non-alpha?
He can't be an alpha male if he cannot control his country. It's in disarray, has been for the entire time. West Africa has been in a disarray, to be honest. And his country was named by a white prostitute.
Facts.
Everything about them is colonized, and yet he says we're living in our master's house. I'm not even going to listen to anything else until I see you stop getting slapped up the side the head by people that I would slap upside the head. I'm not going to have any respect for you. Chinese men repeat. Chinese men are not going to beat up a black American, but they will slap a Jamaican upside the head in the store over in Jamaica, and they'll slap your ass upside the head, and you're going to love it. You're going to pay them to do it more. Admit
So,
it.
so given those facts, Mr. Force, you don't have respect as an alpha male on my stage. I will let you speak when you organize a group of men in Nigeria and keep Chinese women from beating the living shit out of you. Have a nice day, good sir.
These Nigerians were not allowed to go into a Chinese food restaurant. It was in Nigeria, and they weren't allowed to go into the restaurant.
In
Furthermore,
Nigeria.
in Nigeria, and they didn't say, oh, they couldn't do anything. The leadership was like, oh, we don't want to talk about it. We wanted to keep the restaurant and bar Nigerians. So we made a stink about it. And then they got rid of the restaurant, or either said they did. The same thing happened across the continent in Kenya. An illegal Chinese man was beating a Kenyan's ass, and the Kenyan didn't mind. And we were like, what the clock is happening? And then the Kenyan came out and said, we were just joking. We were just joking. The man was flogging him. And he said we were joking just so he could continue to get beaten at his restaurant job. The guy got deported, and it was an illegal restaurant. Everything about it was wrong, you
Yeah,
know. But
Nigerians. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, but the alpha male didn't exist because he just kept getting beaten up. Go ahead, Actify.
Yeah, so think about Nigerians. They quote unquote they're the bullies of Africa, and they just think they can go anywhere and act up, and then they get here and run into us and don't know how to handle it because they fall for the bullshit that they hear about us, that we're lazy and we don't not educated and all this other shit. Then they get in the intellectual ring with us and they realize, holy shit, I have fucked up. And they face that a lot. And you see, and with when these, and you, I know you've seen it, Wani, with these, when we first these diaspora wars first started, they didn't know how to act because we were wiping them up, and it was terrible. Like, calm the fuck down, dude. You just don't understand. And also, they don't understand our real history. They've heard, and we hear it all the time. They've heard the white supremacist version of our history, with them being the heroes, but they don't know anything about our history and the way the country's set up. If you're an immigrant here, you really don't have to learn about our history other than Martin Luther King, you know. So but then when they have to deal with this face to face, they don't know how to handle it because again, they were the bullies of Africa. That's all I got.
Yeah, and I believe that Actify, because when I bump into Nigerians, their attitude, if I can paraphrase them, is like, no, 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 nigga, you're not acting like the white man taught me you would act. They want me to pull up white
That's what it boils
scholarship,
down to. Yep, that's what it boils down to.
right? Heaven, what's on your mind?
To be an alpha male, you gotta own a territory. You don't have a territory.
Neither
That's
do
why
you. Neither do you.
lion is the king of the jungle.
Man, you don't even
He owns the territory.
What?
You own no territory, so you can't be an
Yes, we
alpha.
do. We own houses, dummy, and you don't own anything.
Yeah,
You
and
don't
he
own minerals. You don't own the country. Get out.
let me tell you how non-alpha he is. He got to sneak up into a FBA man space to try to be heard. He got to sneak up in a FBA man space to try to say, "Excuse me, may I talk? Excuse me, may I talk, please?"
Did he leave on his own? God.
See,
That's
I don't,
terrible.
I never understand that. If just walk away, it's over. Just walk away. Anyway, I don't stay anywhere where I'm being abused.
He requesting again. So yeah, exactly. So Actify Press, he talking about something. This him. No. Is that's not right. The white man told me that these niggas are not smart. This is not supposed to be happening. He's in denial. Stony B.
Yeah.
Stony B. Fox, what's on your mind, man?
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing today?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. What's on your mind, love?
Nothing much, nothing much. I've been listening for quite some time. Hey, hey y'all, hey everybody. I'm so happy to see
Hey.
y'all and been listening to y'all. But I want to chime in on one of the parts that you were speaking about. The African guy that just came up here, and the past two African guys that just came up here. They're very Wanda, you did a great job. They're very passive, very docile. He They don't know how to talk to us. When you said that you were the uh, I don't want to say alpha female, but you're like basically they're lesser. They're lesser. Like they're not alpha. I don't know how to explain it, but even as a stud, when I see them out in the world and they try to communicate with me, like I'm a security guard and whatnot. And so when I'm doing these security guard jobs, sometimes I'm running into, foreigners. And there's this African guy that I sometimes run into. And when I run into him, he comes and he try to boss hog. He tries to boss hog. He tries to be I don't know how to explain it, but like a teacher's pet. He tries to go above and beyond, trying to like if I get there early, way early, but I'm just sitting in my car and waiting. If I'm not there within that 1 minute, this man is calling the boss, trying to see where the next guard is. He's ready to tell, he's ready to snitch, he's ready to, to get the other guard. When I'm there and I just explain to him, hey, I've been here for quite some time, guy. Just calm down. Well, where is the other guard? There's supposed to be two gods here. I'm like, sir, you're not even waiting for the grace period. What time is it right now? The time had just Our shift had just started on the dot, and this man was just above and beyond, ready to tell. And I had to explain to him, like, sir, you got to calm down. Like, once he saw the intelligence, like you guys are mentioning, he tried to, but what about this? But what about that? Sir, you just need to calm down and wait for the grace period. That person is going to come. I can assure you, and you're about to go. This is no longer your shift. This is my shift. So that means I'm here. I am here to relieve you, and you can go about your day doing about your duties. And I can worry about that next guard that is coming, I can assure you. So you are totally correct. They like to domineer or commandeer. They like to commandeer things or like to think that they can commandeer things. But then once you show them and explain to them over and over again, because they'll try to like go around it, like, no, maybe you don't understand. They'll do that. You don't understand what I'm saying. You don't understand. And then when you show them that, yet no, I understand, you can go, sir, go ahead and go. That's when they like, oh, okay, you different than the other blacks that I'm used to snitching on. You're different than the other blacks. I can't just snitch on you. Oh, you coming on time? Oh, okay. I was ready to snitch on you, but I can't. Oh, but maybe I can snitch on the second guard. Oh, you got that other guard's back too? Oh, okay. Well, sometimes the guards they don't show up for their shift. He had this whole spiel. Sometimes the other guards don't show up for their shift, and so this and that. And I'm like, but we're here. So what's the problem? What is the problem, sir? Once that second guard came, and the guard came like 2 minutes later. So this man was doing all this for nothing, pretty much. blowing up a lot of smoke for nothing. And when I told him, I said, I'm going to tell that other guy too. I'm letting him know what you're about. And he didn't want to let it be known. And actually he knows that other guard. So he knows that that guard was coming. He was just kicking up a fuss because he thinks that he can, because he thinks that he African and he can do those things.
Wow, ladies and gentlemen, I just conceptualized what Sister Stoney's just talking about. I conceptualized it and realized how dangerous it is. If you look back through history, the system of white supremacy has always used immigrants to attack us. The word, according to historical canon, is buffer, buffer colony. The first group of buffers were used in the 1600s, and they were low class, poor white English, mentally defective. I'm talking pedophiles, I'm talking debtors, I'm talking lunatics. Not my words, words of academic canon, were sent to America to form the state I'm in right now, Georgia, the Georgia Corporation. And long story short, they were made a deal. Hey, I know you're insane. I know you're a criminal. I know you're a debtor. But if you come over here and keep these black people in check, I'll give you status and land. So, in short, what I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, is these immigrants formed the slave patrols, which then became the police. The police departments, 100 years later, and almost 200 years later, were replaced and replenished with Irish, who themselves were not considered white, but they were considered white in diametric opposition again with the Black American man and woman. The Irish, poor as hell, picking fucking bugs out of rotten potatoes, we're told, hey, I know your shit is fucked up, but if you get these blacks in check, you arrest them, you beat them up, you throw them in jail, I'm going to make you a policeman and give you a pension and a house to live in. So, voila, the Irish and Italians became white. So, the next round we're seeing is even more terrifying to me. What I've been hearing from a lot of my colleagues that our sister Stoney just confirmed is the next wave of slave patrols are going internal in the prisons. I'm hearing that prison guards are overwhelmingly Nigerian. That is terrifying. So, in conclusion, what I'm saying is this is the same thing as the slave patrols, except these prison guards, I mean, these slave patrol officers are on the inside where our brothers have no rights. That's horrifying.
And now I'd like to add this to it, if I may.
Come on.
We if you look at it, all these people they brought in to be buffer classes, right? You know, and I'd like to add the model minority groups to it, right? Um, all these people they brought in, they've imported body after body after body. Now finally they're down to the Africans and Caribbeans. There really is nobody left, right? I guess these Indians, I guess they're left. But 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 ultimately, if we didn't if we didn't stick together more than people give us credit for, all this shit wouldn't be necessary. You see what I mean? If we, they always say, well, Black Americans don't stay together. Well, I would argue we stick together more than anybody else. That's why they keep having to bring all these other groups to keep us, to quote unquote, keep us in check, and they still can't do it, right? And I never mind. I'll leave that alone.
No, no, no.
Sorry.
You making good sense, Actify, because I've thought about that with the last election. I thought about, and our brother Tariq Nasheed, I'm paraphrasing him, but said something like, Black America FBAs are the only group that votes as a block. I never thought about that before, but that's true. And that voting as a block would indicate that we are unified with respect to politics. And unity is unity, no matter how the fuck you cut it. So yeah, y'all forget my dog. She's having a good time. My lady done cooked her some treats, but yeah, some little bone treats. But yeah, but I think we are. You know, it's a lot we don't know. We've been gaslit to learn a lot of things the wrong way. Good point, Actify. Cash Gains, come in here and educate us, son. Tell us something new.
What's up, Cash?
Yo, peace to the room. What's good with y'all?
What's up,
Um,
bro?
it's crazy because as soon as I came in the room, you were mentioning the third wave of labor force being patrol, and you were talking about in the prison system. I pinned the article that says Nigerians are flocking to. Hold on, Nigerians are flocking to work in Texas prisons. Have y'all already
Wow.
referenced this article?
No, I didn't even reference it. I was just Stony Fox brought it up, and I thought it clicked in my mind. Oh my God, is this a slave patrol again? That's how it came up.
Right, right. To the text for texture. All right, let's see. It says in early 2010, Okupure found a friend from his college days in Lagos on Facebook. He sent a message and they started chatting. Their friend was working in a Texas prison and making good money. It says as soon as he arrived, Ok- I'm just going to call him OK. I discovered that there were lots of Nigerians and West Africans already living in Huntsville, all working for the TDCJ. Some, like him, had brought their families, and others were single men living in department dorms. Many, like him, already had college degrees from back home that wouldn't transfer, so they were studying at Sam Houston State College, the local college, during the day and working at night. It goes on to say the rise of African correctional officers is a story of an immigrant community finding an economic niche, but it is also a story of how prisons have shifted from the kinds of places one makes a career to transition way stations to the middle class. A lot of these African guys I see coming in are going to college and also working, said Lance Lowry, the head of the Huntsville local of the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, uh, et cetera, et cetera. If you go down a bit further, they even mention, and this is supposed to be, an anecdotal story, but it mentions how there's a culture clash between uh, um, American corrections officers and these ones from the continent. I was trying to find the part, and there's even some raw figures at the very bottom. I'll leave space in case you guys want to mention something. Let me find that note.
Yeah, can I say something real quick? And I think it's interesting that the Hispanic guards and white guards are being replaced. It's the
Hmm.
black guards being replaced. That's another marker of us sticking together. They're trying to eliminate protection and eyes looking out for us in the prison system. At least that's what I believe.
No, I see it. I see what you're saying because the system of white supremacy is well thought out. I'm moved to say something. I'm moved to say I usually keep a lot of my stuff for my next book, but I'm just gonna say this. Bobby Hemmett pointed out. Now we're talking about spiritual metaphysics. I'm shifting out of academia, and we're going into metaphysical deep thought. Our brother Bobby. Hold on one second. David, turn your mic off because it's got an echo. But close your mic, David, would you please, sir? Bobby Hemmett said that basically in 1914, on a spiritual level, the white supremacists realized that their time was up. Um, and that's a little deep if you think about it. The number associated with the system of white supremacy is six. The number associated with foundational Black Americans is nine. Now, I'm not going to go into some long Malachi Z. York diatribe of why that is, but just know that it is. And 1914 is, I think it's a six. One and nine is 10. Um, um, what is it? One and four is five. 10 is 1 and 0. 1 plus 0 is 1. 1 and 5 is 6. So that was a 6. That was the height of their power, according to Bobby Hemmett. And he said the system of white supremacy kind of freaked out in 1914. You look through history, you see a lot of those indications with the World War I and all that. It was a scramble to try to figure out some type of long plan to perpetuate world domination, even though on a spiritual level they were timed out. So I'm saying that to say, and I know there was a lot of information, it's real deep. I can put some scholarship in the jumbotron if y'all want to read about it. Zachariah Stinchen kind of talks about it a little bit, but it's very fascinating if you look through that context to what's going on with melanated people like diasporic Africans being made deals to destroy us. It kind of confirms, in short, what Bobby Hemmett was saying, that the Europeans' time is fucking up. So, out of spite, they're saying, my time's up. Let me look for somebody who will be here who can take my place. He said that years ago. We're going to go to David, then Cash Gaines. What's on your mind, David?
Hey, what's up, Professor? Can you
What's
hear
up?
me?
Yes, sir. What's going on, bro?
Hey, I appreciate the work y'all doing. I can bear witness about the influx of Africans working in the Texas prison system. I was incarcerated in the state of Texas from 2001 to 2007, and during the last 19 months of my incarceration, I was at a place called the Darrington Unit. It's down in Rocharon, Texas, and
Professor, can you
can,
mute
Oh, I'm
him?
sorry.
can you hear me?
Yeah, yes,
Yes.
sir.
Oh, okay. So I was incarcerated in the state of Texas from 2001 to 2007. And during the last 19 months of my incarceration, I was incarcerated at a unit called the Darrington Unit, located in Rocharon, Texas. And what you all are saying about the influx of Africans working there were a lot of Africans working there, especially during it was the second shift and the third shift. And when I say they treat FBAs bad, they treat FBAs bad,
Wow.
horribly bad. It was a good unit to be incarcerated at because it was ran by mostly FBAs, like the lieutenants and the wardens at that time. And that's been some years ago. But when that second shift and that third shift came in, it was awful. It was awful. And I can say that because I personally experienced it and observed it as being an incarcerated inmate in TDCJ. Yeah.
Well,
So
David, I'm very grateful that you're on our space. Thank you for even being here and sharing your testimony. But would you mind kind of differentiating their treatment? How were the West African, particularly Nigerian guards? How were they different? How did they treat you differently? In what ways did they treat you differently than the other guards?
so I don't know necessarily whether they were necessarily Nigerian. I do know that some of them were from like the Sierra Leone, and there were definitely some Nigerians there. But the whole of them treated inmates bad. For instance, if an inmate needed to go see a nurse, they wouldn't let them go. If somebody
Wow.
was experiencing some type of medical condition, versus an FBA mostly that worked mostly in the daytime. There were some FBAs in the nighttime. If you told an FBA that you was experiencing some type of medical emergency, they would see to it that if they couldn't take you to the nurse, they would try to bring the nurse to you. And
Wow.
whereas the Africans, they would try to make you go through the process of filling out a sick call. And sometimes a sick call, it might take you days to be seen, you know, before the sick call even reaches the person. And sometimes that is legitimate to make somebody to wait. But when somebody is clearly experiencing an emergency, I mean, this is something that it has to be taken care of like right then, and that's the sympathy and the empathy that FBAs have versus the African. And it was just, I witnessed stuff like that, and it wasn't good. It was not good at all.
That's wild, man. Like playing with people when they're sick. That's some cruelty ass shit.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Those are
it's
not
very cruel.
humanitarians. Their
Yeah,
No.
non-humanitarian background comes out at that moment.
right,
But
Yeah,
exactly.
those men definitely wouldn't be alpha.
No, that's
no.
no, it's definitely not alpha because see, they know that they have the power to lock those doors and unlock those doors, and they have the power to unlock a door, and several of them could possibly gang up on you, and you don't have any defense of that. So that's definitely not alpha male behavior.
Yeah, but we
Yep,
supposed to mingle and mix with these
A
motherfuckers.
lot of those
that's
mass
right.
shooters, those a lot of those mass shooters aren't well, they definitely aren't alpha because they go after soft targets. So a soft
Right.
target would be also would a soft target would be, a child, an old person who can't defend themselves. But I think a soft target is somebody in jail who can't, who doesn't have the freedom to walk out.
Right.
Totally.
Exactly. And I was yeah, I totally agree with you, Nikki. And I was just matter of fact, I went on the Darrington Units page, and it took me to the overall TDCJ page, and I saw that I can't remember what facility it was, but they have a I want to say an African warden at one of those facilities, and then another facility. One of those Africans has even worked his way up to like captain or lieutenant or something like that, which is horrible, especially when it comes to like those hearings that they normally have. Like when you get like a disciplinary infraction, you have to go before one of those little hearing boards, which is a big old like small kangaroo court. And a lot of them probably don't understand the due process rights that a person is supposed to receive, even in hearing. They just run right through you. You know. So yeah, I appreciate y'all. I just land my plane right there. Y'all keep up the good work.
Yeah, I appreciate you too, David, and you keep spreading this because we need to know this. We need to know that the next wave of the slave patrol is going on internally in the prison system, where our gentlemen, our brothers, are really helpless.
Yes,
You know,
sir. Most definitely.
you're
Yes,
an advocate and a voice for these brothers. Thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
Um,
Thank you, brother.
yes, sir.
appreciate you,
Cash,
bro.
yes, Cash Games. What's on your mind, bro?
I got goosebumps because uh, um, the Darrington unit is mentioned in this paragraph I was about to read. It says
Wow.
the African immigrants working in Texas prisons have a reputation for being strict and serious. Stephen Epperson, who served several years at the Darrington Unit near Houston, describes the African officers he encountered to be short tempered and irritated by stupidity and ignorance. OK shows flashes of this stereotype. He chuckles while recalling how one prisoner complained to him, "Man, they brought you here to oppress us." It says, as their numbers have grown, cultural tensions have become more noticeable. Some of the Nigerian men initially had trouble taking orders from female superiors. Veronica Williams, an African American TDCJ employee who attends OK's church, says that she's seen immigrants face discrimination and accusations that they're stealing jobs that should go to Americans. There's less than 50 quote unquote Africans in the category of those considered work visa hires. In 2009, a Nigerian officer in Huntsville named Marshall AK was accused of sexually assaulting and impregnating a female prisoner. DNA tests proved that he was not the father, but AK sued the agency, saying that he was singled out as the culprit because he was dark skinned Nigerian national with an accent. And then one last thing is in the article, it shows some figures. In 2015, these were how many work visas there were. There were 41 from Mexico, um, 36 from Nigeria alone, five from Cameroon, four from Philippines, El Salvador two, Argentina one, Kenya four, and just goes down. So there are, it looks like a lot of foreigners, at least in Texas specific case, that are working in our prison system. And David just elucidated from a personal experience how fucked up it is. So shout out to David for being here with us.
Yeah, Cash Games. That was synchronicity. That was when Juan, and when you say that was some synchronicity,
Yes, that was it.
big time. Wow, I got goosebumps too, bro. Stony, add on to that.
Yeah, I do want to add on. With that, uh, I realized that they cannot de-escalate things. They can't, or they have trouble de-escalating some things. They like how we're able to see things ahead of time. Like in a situation, we can tell the feeling about like what this might be, so we'll try to de-escalate it before it even get there. They do not. I don't think that they have that in them to do that. Also, it made me think about the science experiment. Where they put the prisoner, the regular people. There were regular people, and they made the
Stanford
prison.
students, yeah.
Yeah, remember that? Okay, now picture that, but with Africans, and how picture that, but just with them and their and where they're already from, and how they already have their customs. Now picture that in that Stanford thing. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of the same thing. And when they're working, I believe you're right. They are like a buffer. Everything that you're explaining to me, like I'm just thinking back to working with them and all the things that you guys are naming. That is why they act like that. Like it's making so much
Oh
more
yeah, and
sense.
if you want to know more about the original Georgia Corporation, I write extensively about it in my book. Go to our story publications and Jumbotron, put $25 on the Cash App, and put your full address, and it's in the workbook. It talks about how that tactic was put together. It wasn't even put together by an American. I mean, a soon-to-be American colonist. That shit was done out the mind of Captain James Oglethorpe, some perverted evil genius um, Englishman who was in in the army, in the British Army, and he ended up they named a goddamn college after him. It's Oglethorpe. And I know scores of bougie black people who went to Oglethorpe. I go to Oglethorpe. I'm like, do you know who Oglethorpe
I almost went to
was?
Oglethorpe.
What?
I almost went there. I almost went to Oglethorpe.
Who you went?
Almost. I ended up
Oh,
in West
I was
Georgia.
about
Yeah.
to. Yeah, it's a lot of black people. There's like a whole. It's in Buckhead. It's like a whole bunch of black people go there and like brag on Oglethorpe. I'm like, why are you bragging about that? But I guess they didn't know. But my point is, Stony, that's the attack, is to weaponize, to go across the world and find groups of people who are either desperate, like the Irish. The Irish was desperate as hell. I'm gonna read something from Dr. Howard Zinn, and we'll go on to the next speaker. But Dr. Howard Zinn calls the Irish out big time. Now, keep in mind, Joe Biden was Irish. There was a deal cut with the Irish. The Irish were starving to death. Do y'all know that? Let's look at this. Let's look at 1846. I'm sorry, 1844. I'm sorry. What's going on in 1844? What's going on in 1844 is enslaved black people, FBAs, are popping off riots. A lot of which you've never heard of, never got written down. But Denmark VC, fucking Gabriel Prosser, just popping off fucking riot, and the riots and the plans were getting shut down by snitches because they had meritorious manumission. You get paid if you snitch on somebody that was gonna do something. So a bunch of snitches was fucking told on them, so the riot didn't go off for real. But the rumblings are there, just this whole man, we gonna tear this bitch down, that type of talk. So Nat Turner pulls off one. I think Nat Turner killed hundreds of people, but the history says he killed about 50 white people. I think that's bullshit. But anyway, so you had that in the ether of FBAs being like, fuck this, we gonna tear this bitch down. No justice, no peace. We tearing this motherfucker down. So check this out. In that same zeitgeist, time, that means time ghost, ladies and gentlemen. The system of white supremacy said we need somebody to keep these blacks in check. So they reached to Ireland. What was going on in Ireland? Listen up. According to Dr. Howard Zinn, quote, the immigrants from Ireland fleeing starvation there when the potato crop failed were coming to America now packed in old sailing ships. So they was mad because they was hungry. The Irish were literally hangry, goddamn it. And they brought their hangry asses to America, where the system of white supremacy said, don't worry about being hungry, worry about the nigger. Got it? Dr. Howard Zinn says, quote, how could these new Irish immigrants, themselves poor and despised, become sympathizers with the black slave, who is becoming more and more the center of attention, the subject of agitation in the country? Dr. Zinn closes with this. Racist hostility became an easy substitute for class frustration. And Stony, that's the name of the game. Find somebody who's mad at themselves, starved half to death, half dead and stinking, and say, I'll come over here, I'll give you some clothes and a bath and a piece of chicken if you go after the nigga. Nothing's changed but the group of people playing the game. Now you got West Africans coming over here trying to play that goddamn game. And I think that's what woke us up. We was like, oh, hell no, you don't get to play that shit with me, dude.
Yeah, I'm a comedian as well, and so some of these old, like the old comedians, they I listen to it, and uh, Red Fox, even Richard Pryor, he has a joke where he was talking about they got new niggas. They call them. I can't phrase the joke, but what he said then is still now. Basically, they got new niggas to try to replace
Well,
us. But he said it in a great joking
oh yeah.
way.
So we're gonna shift gears to an issue we hadn't really addressed yet. So
Professor, one more if I may before we step off.
yes, sir. Go ahead.
Just about the cultural distinction. I keep wondering, like, why Nigerians? Why Nigerians? You know what I'm saying? Like, is it because of the biggest population? I do want to make the note that,
Yeah, it could be. And they
right,
do have a lot of people that I think they have more wealthier people that could afford to come here and pay these tuition
Mm.
fees and
Then
stuff.
Well, I see another angle, if I may, ladies and gentlemen. Check this out. Nigeria is new, right? But what country kind of fed Nigeria? Benin, right? Dahomey. And that was an area full of the most vitriolic slave traders, African slave traders ever known. The French were scared to death of them. Long story short, Wani, weren't
The
you telling?
bullies of Africa. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
them.
Wani, weren't you telling about the tree of forgetfulness or something?
Where they led everyone around that in a ceremony to make them forget where they came from.
Man, these motherfuckers, wasn't that Benin?
I I don't know. It's the Dahomey,
Dahomey
but
is Benin. Yeah, that's same shit.
it should be. Yeah, it should be
I think they're
because they
close.
change. Yeah, they change what they call it. So I'm not sure what it would be today, but that
yeah,
sounds right.
I
Yeah,
was gonna say that
go ahead.
in Nigeria they have the tribe the Igbo, right? And the Igbo for sure engaged in slavery. I think up to 30% of them had card carrying licenses from the Royal Niger Company. They had roads and buildings built after them, multiple marriages and stuff like that. But I'm trying to draw a line to modern day. Listen to this, y'all. Like, so one thing is, I know that I was taught in school that India had a caste system, and dark-skinned people were considered outcasts, couldn't eat from the same plate, couldn't serve in politics, couldn't own land, couldn't get access to education. When I was researching about West African slave trade and those being sold at the ports, it sounds like some people were rejected by Europeans and kept in slavery on the continent and considered outcast by the Nigerian caste system up until, if you look at the Wikipedia, 1956. My mom was born 1952, right? So that's like them having desegregation or something like that. It says right here that you see that people who are considered the Ohu or the outcasts of Nigeria, that there was parental poisoning of their children, disinheritance of their wealth, ostracism, ostracizing them, exclusion from social clubs, disruption of marriage ceremonies, denial of chieftaincy titles, property deprivation, and expulsion of spouses. So, although it says in
Mhm.
1956 they stopped doing this, it says officially it was abolished in 2018. So, people who
Yeah, that
consider
was
people
true.
outcasts, come on, are coming here to force a caste system of dark skinned people on our people again. They just abolished it there, so now they're coming here to do it.
That's absolutely true, Cash. Thanks for bringing that up. That's absolutely true. They were um, people that were captured to be enslaved didn't all go across the Atlantic. So some of them ended up like that.
Yeah, I'd like to add. I think that's one of the reasons why we disrupted everything with delineation, right? Because a lot of folks that were depending on blending in, so to speak, we all black sort of thing, and just sliding through everything and colonizing our spaces like our HBCUs. And like you were talking about very early on, Wani, like overseas when women were upset that they thought they were hanging out with Black Americans, ended up they were hanging out with Africans. Now people can ask these questions without feeling racist, right? Are you really Black American? What? You don't get that response, right? And I think a lot of people are, especially in places like Asia, where authenticity is valued. That becomes a problem. So you see all these guys who are DJs like Rob Swift. That's one of the reasons why he was so mad. He looked like us, but his ass isn't us. So I'm sure he was getting questions out there teaching people how to DJ. Are you really Black American? I know he was getting those questions. So this we disrupted a lot of shit with delineations.
Okay.
Yes, we did. And can I just say something real quick, Professor Allen?
Yeah, go ahead,
Oh,
Cheryl. I think you were with somebody ahead of you. Yeah, you
oh,
good. You
okay.
good.
And how's everybody in the room?
Doing well.
Good,
Um,
good.
I used to work for an insurance company, and by the way, I have seizures. I have epilepsy, and unfortunately, I had one at work, and I worked the second shift. So my supervisor was off that night, so it was the team next to me. Their supervisor was kind of, helping us out if we needed her. Well, when I had my seizure, she was very, very rude. She was Nigerian. And when the manager came out there, the manager called the ambulance and laid her out. Laid her out. It was a FBA black woman. She laid her out. Well, I don't know what they said or what they said to her, but she wasn't supervising no more. They had her sit up at the front and just do paperwork. But
Yeah,
she,
they're getting people sued because of their bad behavior. The men can't stop raping on their jobs. They can't stop abusing, and the women can't stop being mean. So they're just going to cause these companies to get sued, and at some point, they're just going to stop hiring them.
yeah, because I mean, she just started yelling at me because I was having a seizure.
Wow, I'm
Oh,
sorry to hear that.
goodness. That's awful.
That's
That
awful.
is terrible.
Yeah, they something else, I tell you.
Wow. Well, as we wind down, I'm gonna get a couple more speakers, and we're gonna call it a night. Um, so the who's alpha male? Oh, we have to address one more thing. I'm sorry. What is FBA swagger? So far, we've identified the question of who is the alpha male FBA or the African. Um, all spite aside, due to the definition of alpha male, Nikki the God said, what Nikki, what were your criterion earlier? You had some excellent criterion.
Just like I said, one of the main things I said is alpha men, they don't give in to fear. They if
Right.
they do have fear, everybody has, natural fear, but they take their fear and they do something with it. They turn it into something positive, something that could help their people. Another thing I said is alpha men don't sit in the background or the forefront and initiate beefs between women, and I stand on that because I'm seeing
Ooh
a
wee.
lot of that in our community. And even though someone may appear to be alpha and appear to be powerful, behind the scenes they're initiating beefs between women out of the blue. So we that needs to be addressed, maybe in a
Mm,
space by itself. Um, Alpha men, we mentioned some earlier. Alpha men, they seem to attract the majority of the women.
right.
The women don't know that they're just that one man, and all of the women, they will align with that one man. They all want to hear what he has to say and watch what he does. There will be a whole community of men, but all the women will be attracted to that one man. So that's my that's what I call it. That's what I call an alpha man, and I'll land on that.
Right, right, right. So, and I agree with that. Wani, you weren't you that was early in the space. You hadn't had a chance to get here yet. You want to give us your definition of alpha man?
I agree with what Nikki was saying. I had listed some things that alpha men did, but it wasn't like from the root of it. Some of the things that have influenced men all over the world. We discussed earlier all of the mannerisms from sports. This is where all the men in the world get to see Black American men strut their stuff. They can see how Michael Jordan walks. They can see what Michael Jackson is doing. And although we may not consider Michael Jackson to be the most masculine man, he was an alpha male.
Definitely alpha.
We have all kinds of alphas, we have a range of alphas. So he was the king of what he was doing, and his posture, his way of being on the stage affected everybody who would be on a stage for centuries. The way that our men uh, present themselves during the Olympics, during some of these international sports events. That you can see that on a soccer field, on a random soccer field, you'll see men walking around, high fiving and doing any hand gesture or any body movement that Black Americans have done. They've also affected the beauty standards globally because while the white people were telling us that thin lips and flat butts were the thing and showing these on the catwalks. Black men were singing about Brick House and Baby Got Back and all these things and going on about their business and saying, no, we like this stuff. And we don't really care what you're talking about. We are under this veil of white supremacy or lice supremacy. We are under this. But we've all been able to, you know, pull back the veil and say, no, we really like this. We like what we're doing. This is our swag. This is what we're about. And it's been powerful enough to make every man who wants to be viewed as a man, they literally have to wear their pants like our men wear. They have to walk like our men walk. They have to do everything like our men. And in turn, women have to all of a sudden, now everyone wants to talk about baby hair. We've had baby hair since Josephine Baker had a whole head full of baby hair in probably the 40s or 50s. Now we have everyone trying to mimic that, including white women. Everybody wants to mimic, but they do follow that black male lead and that swag. You can see it. People might not notice it, but everything that a black man does on the field, how they wear their sports clothes, how they celebrate winning after making a goal, whatever the goal is, whether it's a basketball or a soccer ball, it's all the same thing of them copying off of black American men.
Well, Wani just segued so beautifully into the last segment of our question. The question is, what is FBA swagger? Well, ladies and gentlemen, now, although that looks like a totally separate question, it's related. It's in essence tethered to the first part, no pun intended. Um, FBA swagger is confidence, and where that power, that powerful walk comes from, where that power in the bedroom comes from, where it comes from, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna go ahead and tell the secret. Sorry, FBA brothers, I'm not supposed to be snitching, but I'm snitching. That power, that swagger, that confidence comes from knowing that you stood up to an oppressive system at the cost of your life, and you didn't back down. Now, sometimes we get our ass whooped doing that. Sometimes we don't. But just the confidence of knowing I went out here and I stood up to this oppressive system and I didn't compromise for a goddamn dollar or a pat on the head gives you that thunder. It gives you that walk. It gives you that power in the sheets. And that's that. John Horse, you want to add? We'll go John Horse and Grassroots. I have last words. Oh, I'm sorry, Sotar. I didn't be there.
Yeah,
Yeah, raise your hands, ladies
yeah,
and gentlemen, if you want to talk. We'll go to John Horse, I'm sorry, Cash Gains, Sotar, and Grassroots.
yeah. No, I was just gonna say, what's good, everybody? I was just gonna say, piggyback and answer the question. Who's the alpha male, FBA or the African? And it's real simple, man. Look, what make you an alpha? Simple as power. The fact that you're going up in like you just said, Professor, you're going up against an oppressive system, and the fact that you're fighting and you're not backing down, you're not cowering, you're not running, you're standing and you're fighting regardless through it all. You know what I'm saying? The fact that you're able to still stand, still have your dignity, and the fact that you're able to have your dignity and still, what I'm saying, walk tall. That's what makes part of an alpha. You know what I'm saying? It's the fact of the matter, that you're willing to fight. You know, you're willing to go to war. You're willing to sacrifice yourself. You're willing to stand on something and actually die for it. And that's the thing that's attractive to women. That's and understand that when these other women from these other groups they see us, they see that that's an attractive thing, and black, and our women, they've always been at the forefront of all of our uprisings here in the United States have taken place simply because we've always been willing to lay it on the line for our women. And they, and that's just a part of, who we are. You know what I'm saying? It's about, being an alpha is just about standing, bro. Like, what I'm saying? You just rock rib, you gonna go to war regardless. You know what I'm saying? If I lose, you know what I'm saying? Technically I don't lose. because they're gonna be millions of other people who gonna come up and
Let me add a little bit. John Horst, you said something real powerful. You said our women like the fact that they know that we'll die for something. Ladies and gentlemen, that's biology. Why are women hardwired to look for that type of dude, which they know is going to speak up or motherfucking put his neck out to stand for something that's righteous or he perceives to be righteous? That is due to the mating process and having children and stability. If you
yep,
have a man in the house that you know if somebody come against the children of the family, you know that man's gonna fucking defend the family at the cost of his life. That's beneficial to you as a mother.
yep.
Whereas if you have children, I've seen countless story after countless story of West Africans. Did y'all see that story of the dude whose wife was getting raped on top of the bed and he hid up under the bed?
I did not hear that. That's
Oh
crazy.
no.
Yeah, it's just, it's not attractive. The way it's been explained to me by females and the social scientists, professors, and they said that women want to know that you're going to defend the cubs. They want you to know that
Yeah,
you're going to defend them and defend the cubs. And there are certain traits that men exhibit that show, oh man, if somebody was attacking me and my kids, he ain't going to do shit.
exactly.
They don't want that.
And the thing is, and you hear a lot of these conversations online about, oh, black women, oh, they always want the thug. No, that black women do not want no thugs. That's not what it is. I think a lot of, and I always say this because I defend women when it comes to this, and I'm glad you brought that up, Professor, because our women have a different experience here in the United States that a lot of other women don't have. Black American women couldn't call the police. Shit, they can't call the police now.
Fact.
What the fuck? Like we just seen what happened to Massey. You know what I'm saying? They can't call the police now. So her attraction, she got to know. It's not that she want a thug, nigga. No, I need a warrior. You cannot be with a black woman here, the foundational black American woman, and be a woman. You like she don't need no woman. No, I don't need you screaming. You know what I'm saying? And no, we can't be two of us screaming. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where as men we have to understand, and I always tell, younger dudes or whatever, it's like, look, women need a balanced man. She not saying that she needs some psycho, no, but she needs to know if the white supremacists come knocking at that door, are you willing to lay it on the line right now? That's just the truth of the matter. We're in a race war. She needs a soldier. She needs a warrior. That's just the women are attracted to warriors. It's been like that since the dawn of time. You gotta be a warrior. As a black man, you know what I'm saying, foundational black American man, that's just who the fuck we've, been programmed to be since our inception here. And that's what
Bec-
makes us an alpha.
because we're at war.
Yeah. And that's, what I'm saying. And once as black man, and once you know that, the way you move, the way you start doing things, everything like that, it's gonna radiate off of you. And that's just it's just like bees to honey. Women are attracted to that. Women are attracted to men who know how to fix things. They know how to make, they don't like men who complain and be crying and doing all of that. Nah, they like men who will pick up a gun, you know what I'm saying? It's just they like competent men. And
And
that's just
Thanks for saying that, because that's what we didn't get into that, like the range of what an alpha is. It's not just people that go lift weights.
yeah.
It's men that know how to handle tools. It's men that are great saxophone players. Just being the king of what you're doing. Do you think Lewis Latimer was an alpha male?
yep.
He sure
Yep.
was strutting around patenting things. So you see, alpha men are all over the place in our group.
It's just
I
a
also I also
I'm
like this. Oh, go ahead,
sorry.
Nikki.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying that I like what the brother said of what they not. They don't go around whining about shit. And
yeah.
back to the topic, who's the alpha male, the FBA or the African? I have seen countless examples of Africans whining. Like the dude that was in here earlier
Mm-hmm.
was whining. You don't let me speak. You don't let me speak.
That's because of me. I trigger a whining gene in them.
The
Or that, yeah,
government.
they'll lie and say that you didn't let them speak or let them on their stage, or they'll
Right.
just try to piggyback off of someone else's success. They sit up and
Yeah.
they start rumors. It's crazy. They're not alphas.
Well, well,
And understand.
Wani, you and both Nikki are feminine, and your voices are ultra. Both of y'all got ultra feminine voices, and I got a
Hmm.
theory with that shit, man. Like a feminine voice makes me want to like. It makes me turn like protective. It's just instinct. I
Yeah.
can't help it. I turn instinctual. But a feminine voice to a fucking weak dude, I noticed they try to compete with you. Like Wani will be like, why did you do that? And no, 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 please, please. Like it's like he's trying to compete with your femininity or some shit.
Hmm. And you want to know? I want to let the women in here know something too. The reason why those African women have such a major issue, not all of them, why a lot of them have a major issue with y'all, is simply because of us. They are attracted to us, and they understand that we're not really checking for a lot of them like that, and they have a problem with that. They understand we don't treat y'all the same way that a lot of how the tethers be treating the women across seas and shit. So a lot of them, they have an issue with that. You know what I'm saying? They you know what I'm saying? Oh, y'all men are fighting, trying to get reparations for y'all. Our men over here fighting over tribal bullshit, and we can't get nothing. I ain't got no fucking running water or nothing over here, no lights and shit. But here
Hey,
y'all over
hey,
here,
bro,
y'all got
ain't
everything.
they ain't fixing nothing over there?
Yeah, and that'll piss a lot of women off from these other groups, and that makes them jealous of Black American women. That makes them jealous of y'all.
No cap. We're gonna go to. We're about to close it now. We're gonna. I appreciate you, John Horse. It's good to see you. We're gonna go to Cash Gains, Grassroots. Yeah, I think it's it. Go to Cash Gains and Grassroots. You'll have the last
Yeah.
word.
I wanted to shout out our comedians who can be unapologetic in telling the truth and calling out those in power while doing it in a way that can be facetious or sarcastic or thought provoking. Shout out to Cat Williams for one.
No cap.
You know what I'm saying? Dave Chappelle. There's a couple of them, and it goes back a long lineage. I would waste time in space. Y'all already mentioned the athletes, and I like to throw dancers in that athletic category, if I may, just put a boot in as well. When we talk about alpha males, Nat Turner didn't use smallpox blankets on innocent individuals.
Preach.
Henry Johnson, who fought in World War One, killed Nazis by himself, didn't arrest John Horse's homie Osceola while they were supposed to be having a negotiation. Muhammad Ali didn't massacre the buffalo in order to kill off human beings. But Muhammad Ali did teach me this as a black American man. He said that at 21 years old, he won the gold medal as a boxer, beating, I think, Russia and Poland. He came back to a segregated lunch counter and they still told him to get out, even though he came dressed in a suit after they televised him winning on behalf of all the USA. And he said that being black is the most consequential thing to his life, and this gold medal ain't gonna never mean nothing to white folks. And he threw that medal in the Ohio River. That's an
Wow.
alpha male to me, someone who cares more about his people than the ultimate token of all tokenism. Shout out to Muhammad Ali and thank y'all for this space.
Yeah, man. No cap. As usual, I appreciate you, Cash Games, man. Um, Grassroots, go ahead and take us home.
What up? All right, so the alpha male, like, it's crazy for even the conversation to be even connecting us as well. Because think about what has the Black American man done? Like, we have fought wars, we have been in every war. I'm talking about, even let's think about Ethiopia. With we talk about you have the video of Black American men ready to go to war in Ethiopia. You have I mean, it's examples of how you have Muhammad Ali, you have going over, we were the ones to expose, like, trying to look out for them, the Black American man. Think about it. What has a Caribbean black man done for his people? What has a Latino black man done? What's a prominent Latino black man that we know that has they put in some work? A Caribbean man put in some work. Even the African man, like, yeah, you got Patrice Lumumba, you got his names. I'm my mind blanking right now, but I know some names. But I'm saying you got the dude, what's the name over there in the Philippines? I remember Tree talked about that shit.
What
The
well
black,
speak well brother, speaking of Tariq, his show just came on, so go ahead and land your plane and we're gonna rendezvous at Tariq's.
let me drop it. Let me drop it. All right, so I'm saying in general, we Black American men, FBAs have been the ones as males been putting in the work to really be about freedom and peace and looking out for people. So we have been the alphas when it comes to really what we've been doing from the Black Panther Party to the Nation of Islam. This is societies we created. Ain't nobody told us that we did it on our own and created power and stood against a oppressive system. So I'm gonna leave it at that. You know what I'm saying? Look, I know, but that's what I was gonna say. But hey, shout out, love the family. Y'all do y'all thing.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I enjoyed y'all. I learned a lot. This is a very powerful space. We're gonna rendezvous at Tariq. So, Wani, did you have any last words?
Good night, everybody.
Nikki, any last words?
Have a good night. Peace.
All right, we're meeting up at Tariq's. I love y'all all. See y'all tomorrow. Peace out.